Today, I am going to explain the basic concepts of operation research. Operation research is a scientific approach to problem solving for executive decision making in a complex situation. Operation research applied almost all the fields in a day-to-day life. Let me mention few here. It is used in industrial management, defense operations, economic planning, hospital management, business and society, accounting and finance, logistics, manufacturing and marketing, procurement, project management. In accounting area, it is helpful in cash flow planning and credit policy analysis. When it comes to the finance, it is useful in capital budgeting decisions, portfolio decisions, dividend decisions, and cash flow analysis, etc. When it comes to the marketing, it is useful in selection of product mix, advertising, and media planning. In the human resource management, it is useful in recruitment and selection of personnel, deciding on the mix of age and skills, manpower planning, salary administration, assignment of jobs, etc. In the logistic area, it is useful in decision involving location and size of warehouse, transportation, and distribution outlet. Whereas in the procurement, it is useful in vendor analysis, replacement decisions, etc. In the manufacturing unit, it is useful in production planning, scheduling, inventory control, etc. In the project management, it is useful in project scheduling, allocation of resources, maintenance schedule, etc. Now let us move on to the techniques involved in operation research. There are some techniques, namely game theory, decision theory, queuing theory, network analysis, inventory model, simulation model, sequencing problem, scheduling problem, transportation problem, assignment problem, etc. Here I am going to explain about linear programming problem. Linear programming problem is a technique to find the optimum value for the given conditions. For linear programming problem, we must know some basic definitions. The first one is objective function. A function which is to be optimized, that is either maximized or minimized, are called objective function. The main aim of operation research is minimize the loss and maximize the profit. The next definition is decision variable. A variable which we used in the objective function are called decision variable. For framing a mathematical model, we need some variables. The variables which we used here, we call it as decision variable. The next one is constraints. Constraints are those that restrict the objective function. The constraints may be market demand, storage capacity, availability of raw material, etc. The constraints are framed to attain the goal. Here our aim is to maximize the profit or minimize the loss. Now let us move on to the assumptions in linear programming problem. For every mathematical model, there are some assumptions. Now we move on to that assumptions part. The first one is linearity. Linearity is a mathematical expression of a straight line in which each variable have the power 1. In the linear programming problem, we use some variables. The power of the variable is always 1. So the problem satisfies the linearity condition. And the second one is proportionality. Any decrease or increase in the objective function must result in the amount of increase or decrease in the constraints. This means the objective function and the constraints are always related. The next assumption is divisibility. The optimal value for the given problem is either whole number or fraction or even sometimes integers. The next one is certainty. This is nothing but the coefficient of the objective functions, that is outputs, cost or profit, etc. and the coefficient of the constraints, that may be resources, demand or whatever it may be. They are always deterministic in nature. This means they remain unchanged. The next one is optimality conditions. As I told earlier, the aim of operation research is minimize the loss or maximize the profit. Here, the LPP always assumes to achieve an optimal solution. Linear programming problem has its applications in some areas. They are assignment of jobs, production planning, manpower planning, transportation problem, assembling problem, determination of distribution system, capital budgeting, selection of product mix and media mix, etc. If you like this video, please subscribe, like and share.